Okay, what I want to do next is bore you to death, as I haven't done here now. Many of you had the opportunity to see the slide presentation on May 31st. I showed it at the high school to show you what I was going to be presenting to the Pacific Northwest. Some of you have seen it, some of you haven't. Some of you have seen the slides that I brought back from the PNW, and some of you haven't. So what we're going to do this evening is we're going to go over those slides. This is near Harrison Hot Springs, British Columbia. Just looking up at one of the mountains, partially obscured by the clouds. That was in a parking lot of our favorite gas station. That's where we stopped and got stuff to munch on and all that. There's another shot a little closer of the mountain. Near Harrison Hot Springs. This is the so-called famous Bigfoot campgrounds with the old Bigfoot standing there with the rock above his head. That's in Harrison Hot Springs as well. That's me standing beside it for a scale. So it's about as tall, including the base, not including the rock, but it's about as tall as what that Buddy Davis model was that I had my picture taken beside that you saw earlier. This is, again, Harrison Hot Springs. The sign above my head says Sasquatch Country. I think if Newcomerstown, to be quite frank about it, would pick up, on some of the subtle hints I've been giving them in the past few years and started promoting Newcomerstown as, biggest capital of Ohio or whatever, they'd pick up quite a bit of tourism, but how many people there's next to nobody in here from Newcomerstown? Hey, these people that run this town, they could have a gold mine with freaking laps, and they would look by it. They would say, gee, it's too dirty, it's too shiny, we can't do nothing with this. These people that operate this town, they leave a lot to be desired.
I say keeping for
I live here. That's John Green.
I know he's talking about been a couple of council.
Yeah. You mean the circus?
Yeah.
John Green, and this is in John's front yard. While we were there, we wanted to visit with Bob Titmus, but Bob at the time that we were there was very ill. Recently, I received a form letter from John. Bob Titmus on July 1st passed away. A couple of days before that, he had a heart attack. And during much of the spring and summer of this year, he had pneumonia. And he had some other health problems too. He was 78 years of age. But I don't know what hospital they took him to, where it would have been, in Vancouver, BC or whatever. But Bob Titmus passed away July 1st, 78 years of age. Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, I did.
Did you? Okay. So I received some material from John, a page and a half, like eulogy, and I'm going to try and put it in 2 separate newsletters. I've got a lot of written material that I received from people this month for the newsletter as well. Anyway, this is in John Green's front yard. That mountain behind us is 4,000 foot. This is also in Harrison Hot Springs. This is at an it's not an ice cream parlor. It's like a restaurant.
That's half the size of this room.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
John Horrigan in the center there. The fellow on the left-hand side,
Mike
MacDonald. Yeah, I'm turning.
He had a farm.
Yeah. The guy on the left is the guy named Mike MacDonald. We met him there the first night that we were at John Green's. John Green was kind enough to let the 4 of us stay at his house on Friday and Saturday night when we drove back and forth to Vancouver, BC for the symposium. Side note, we won't do that again. I didn't drive, but it was just taxing on your brain and everything else. Mike MacDonald is from near Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And earlier this year, Mike had read John's big book, Sasquatch, The Apes Among Us. And a lot of the sightings that are talked about in The Apes Among Us took place near Harrison Lake, near the Harrison Hot Springs, BC area. And Mike, he said, okay, I'll go out there and find out what's going on. So Mike goes out there and he gets a boat, canoes over to the island, the biggest island in Harrison Lake, and he sets up residence with his tent, and all of his cooking supplies and everything else. And when we were there, beginning of June, he had been there for just over a month, and he had hoped to be there until the end of August, beginning of September. 90 days, I believe. Up to the point we were there for just over a month, he had discovered 3 size footprints, 3 different sizes of tracks on the island in Harrison Lake. Got audio on videotape of some type of an animal in the woods, the wood line, calling back and forth between a guy who was with him that particular day and the animal in the woods. I don't know what it was. We heard that. He had also found some feces. There was one particular story that he talked about. He was lying on a boat dock one night, and he heard something enter the water not too far away from him. And it took about 45 minutes for this thing to make its way over to where he was lying. And got underneath him, and he said he was so scared that he didn't have the nerve to turn on the flashlight and swing around or swing over and look into the water to see what was underneath him. Directly under him. He said when it got under him, what it did was, it evidently took its fingers, its fingernails, whatever, claws, scratched on the boat dock to let him know that it was directly under him. And then it proceeded on and gradually left. And he said that whole time period, which could have taken maybe 3 or 4 minutes at the most for a normal person walking normally on the ground, took 45 minutes for that to happen. And he was scared to death. But
Was he camping?
yeah,
He was sleeping in his tent, and he heard something coming toward his tent, and he ran to the dock, and there was a family docked on the boat, told him to come check, bring your lights, you gotta come to my campsite. They went, and it was like 3 in the morning, they didn't want anything to do with it, they were like, we're sleeping, whatever. So he went back to his tent, and another 15 minutes goes by, something starts coming through the tree line again at his tent. So he, underwear and all, just ran down to this dock and tried to wake the family up again. They just thought, there's nothing you're imagining, so he laid on the dock. And then what Don was saying, and how he heard the thing enter the water, whatever it was, and if it was anything at all, and like the scratching noise underneath, he said he was just terrified.
I don't remember all the details about that story because somebody wimped out. When we were sitting at John's house talking, somebody wimped out. They went downstairs and went to bed. Okay? Now, I'm not going to tell you who it was. But all I can tell you is the person telling you the story just can't remember everything about it because, I didn't. When somebody told me they had jet lag before, when they, I didn't, jet lag, yeah, you're full of it. You just make an excuse up because you're tired. I know what jet lag is now.
Now it's prettier.
It's even better now.
Just improved.
This is it. The peak of this is 10,778 feet. And on the way up to this mountain, it took us about 55 miles from I-5 from Bellingham, Washington, to get up to Mount Baker. And on the way there, the roads that we took, we drove along for many miles what they call the Nooksack River. The Nooksack River, for those of you who have read John Green's books or have heard very many video documentaries on the Bigfoot phenomenon, back in the 1970s, there were several sightings that took place. I forget what the name of the town was, but they centered around the Nooksack River. And in fact, it's the movie that Peter Graves narrated. There was one particular incident that took place that there was this young man who was on a boat, and he and a couple of his buddies, they were trying to catch fish with a net in the Nooksack River.
And John Green.
Yeah, right. John Green, because I thought, John Green? Wait a minute, he never said he had sighting. But that's where it took place. If you're following that, congratulations.
The road in front of our car on the way down there, some form of four-legged.
It was a coyote.
Coyote, cougar,
I
coyote.
thought it was a cougar.
No, it was a
Could've
coyote.
been.
It's a cat.
Hot Springs Road?
Huh?
On Hot Springs Road?
After making the right on the gas station coming down.
Yeah, that's Hot Springs Road.
Yeah. It was taking its time too. It really didn't get care.
It was a coyote, I'm telling you.
It was a domestic cat. It was a quarter fed.
Can I get your names again? I'm sorry. What was so fast? You are
Mark the word.
Mark the Word.
Strongsville, Ohio.
You came all the way from Ohio? For the...
I came all the way from Boston. And I walked.
Yeah, we picked him up because
You ever see the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
That was him.
That was him just getting here.
we picked him up because we felt sorry for him.
I can sympathize with that. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is my story all the way. What's your first name? Mark?
To work.
You are
Chuck Story.
Mark?
John Horrigan.
John?
Horrigan.
Eating. You sound familiar. That name sounds familiar, John.
Ohio. He's the eminent researcher of Ohio.
Are you the one?
Because you can have a copy. Yeah.
About ready to crash.
Here's my card. Keep that on me.
That's the Bay State Bigfoot Society, BSBS, twice the BS in your normal Bigfoot organization.
Love the BS.
My partner at the Bay State Bigfoot Society yet has had a sighting ever.
I'm not a researcher. I'm not an investigator. Heck, I don't know what I am.
But you got these awfully pretty looking cards.
Well, thank you very much. We're on film. Okay.
What you got on tape?
I'll show you.
So, how long have you been out on the island?
Well, it's Sunday now. Well, we'll go to yesterday. 27, 28, 29 days.
Wow. Intent?
You have one tied up yet?
When Sasquatch tied up, is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, I got them all tied up all over the place.
We'd like to come over and pat
And you
one
should have
on the
spoke
head.
Friday night. Between the psychic people.
Are you guys going back tomorrow? Or is that, you guys
Yeah.
Come back Monday night.
We fly out, yeah.
I mean, are you going back to the symposium tomorrow, or are you guys
Yeah.
done with you are?
Yeah. Well, we're going to spend some time with John.
Yeah.
Had some gold tomorrow to take out to breakfast, but we won't eventually meander back there.
I'd like to go to that. Anyway. I'll show you this tape I gathered last night. Do you want to see it?
Yes.
Would you mind, John?
It's pretty much set up. It's in the area, right?
Hey, John. Would you mind putting a glass of water?
Did you want to operate the controls, John? You already got your hands on it. Set this up a bit. Another Sasquatch hunter and myself. He took me to a site he often goes to.
And of Live Aid.
What is Webley's tape?
Anyway, he took me to this.
Mark, will you wait there?
I've seen dung like this before. Now I just assumed it to be cat scat. But I don't know many cats that eat green.
You're on the island, Mike.
Yeah. It's me getting out of my tent.
You tend to stay on the island?
All my stuff's there right now. I'm going back tomorrow. I plan on being out there for another 7 days.
70.
If I can.
Good man.
Just taking pictures of the green.
How do you charge your batteries?
That was a big headache. I got an AC inverter now. So an AC inverter hooked up to a car battery.
You charge his battery.
And I got a little solar panel.
Where'd you get that mountain kit at?
Went right to Harrison. And I was gone until Sunday. I was gone almost a week. While I was gone, I didn't even notice this. I almost stepped in it yesterday. Something came in here and shit in my tent. Now, I accidentally squished it with this rock. I was trying to put the rocks here and squished part of it. But here's the puzzling part. I've seen this kind of dropping before, up and back there. I know there's not much of it, but when I saw it back in the bush, there's a lot of this hair,
Yeah.
See? And there was a pile here, and then you go about 20 feet, there's another big pile, and you go another 20 feet, another big pile. Now, what's interesting about this is you can see the color in here. It's obviously a meat eater, whatever you drop this, right?
Yeah.
Plus there's grains in here. There's one there, one there. So, I don't think that's cougar scat. Yeah, we got the hair, and on top of that, there's a 14-inch track.
Which direction is that facing? Facing that way here, the toes. There's the heel. Should be another one over here.
Hard to say, this ground's really hard.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm not big.
Yeah. But, my point is,
Has rain fallen on that?
yeah, it's been raining all week, 2 weeks straight. And I just covered it the last couple of days. So it was fairly fresh. While I wasn't here, something dropped out here. But look at the hair now, and look how long it is.
The hair is in the jar.
The color. And the color. Now I'm trying to think, why would Sasquatches be swallowing hair? Their own hair.
Well, they've been known to be seen eating rodents whole.
That's not rodent hair, though. That's obviously plain.
Yeah, long hair.
Long hair.
But would be an explanation as to why some hair would be in there.
Yeah.
Did you move this over here?
Yeah. I kind of did exactly what you're doing now, just kind of poking away. Staying in the poop. Then I started thinking,
Well, the diameter is awfully small, okay?
well, first, okay, that's the diameter. Like you can see, there was that big part there. That's all flattened down now. The diameter was about that big. Okay, you can just see the width.
Yeah.
Right there, that one. That was the diameter. There was some smaller pieces. Now it's a very small dropping. I would say it came from like a cougar or a bear or something, but nothing else in my camp was touched. Nothing. Nothing. Something came in here, took a crap. A big animal with an anus about that big.
Well, if this was like an animal on 4 legs, like a dog, you're looking at something that weighs around 50 pounds. Probably the size of, smaller than a German Shepherd. Not known to have any coyotes or wolves on this island. It's looking like cougar to me.
Cougars don't eat grains, though. That's what I'm thinking.
Well,
And I see that track. Well, it's
the grain could have been in the stomach or something else.
yeah. I thought of that too.
Let's have a look at this track over here.
The only reason I'm so skeptical about this particular dropping is because I've seen droppings identical to this, back up by that lake, but there was much more of it, and it was longer. And it was longer. I mean, there was a pile, about a human-sized pile, and you'd go 20 or 30 feet, and there was more. It was like it was walking its string on another little pitch, and it was walking.
You've seen this, have you?
I've seen it just 20
I know what
minutes
you're
that way.
talking about.
So,
How recently did you see that up there?
when I first got here, the first week I was here. Now, this is day
This
28.
year or last year's expedition?
This year.
And we'll have to take a hike up there and find some more of that where you see it.
But I recognized the hair in the dropping. The hair was in that, and it's here. So,
Well, that hair can be analyzed. It has certain characteristics to it.
yeah.
See, it's got 2 colors to it. And that's a characteristic of certain creatures. Other creatures don't have that. So that might be its own hair because it's licking itself, or it might be the hair of what it ate. The hair seems to be in relatively good condition there. It doesn't look like it's been processed by stomach acid, etc.
No.
The previous
The
dropping I found
question
had
I
a
wanted
lot
to
of
ask
hair.
somebody is if
A lot of hair.
when hair is digested, can it do
Pretty
something?
much mainly hair.
What happens to hair when it's digested?
Well, it can break up entirely and disintegrate. Hair will do that. And you get it in your bathroom sink or something, and it's in water, it'll soften up eventually disintegrate. But, soap and other things get in there too and prevent it. So this track over here, if you notice, it looks like there's toe prints and a heel print, right?
Yeah.
There's no compression in between.
Well, again, look at the ground. Now, I mean, you can stomp on this ground all you want, and it's within a half an hour, you would never see anything there. The Sasquatch did come. Now, you can see,
So what you're saying is that
I'm saying,
bare spot there is where the toes were.
and it kicked up a bit. And because the heel has so much more of the weight, and it's stuck than the rest of the foot, that's why this little area is.
It's a matter of opinion on how you look
I've
at
seen
it.
14-inch tracks on the Dallin before. And it fits in with that. Unfortunately,
14-inch track would indicate about 40 inches of the next stride.
I haven't been able to find anything else. So,
Nothing else, there's nothing.
well, then again, you are much better at this than I am. I figured if a Sasquatch did take a shit here, it would wipe its ass with its hand and probably lick it.
Righty.
And goes on.
Maybe your camera screws up.
Okay, take that watch. You want to watch what you're saying? Okay, all right.
Anyway, he took me to a spot he always goes to, and he did this typical call. We got a response last night. This is it right here. That's the creature. That's John. That's John, my buddy, doing that. Then it responds.
Telling you, I've told you the whole damn thing.
I'm gonna run out there, wait a second. John, I have a plan.
Just trying to imitate me. Just trying to go lower.
We should stay here all night long tonight. If not, I'm gonna.
Mike,
I want to get my...
this thing could take you apart, man.
So be it.
I'm going to go around and see what it is.
I'm gonna run out the tape any second.
Take it off. You might save it. Save it. He won't call, he only answers. He wants to know what we're up to.
Well, a bunch of apples
It's a
there.
rubber.
Let's go back and see what happens.
Now, that's the exact same sound I have recorded. That call you, that sound.
Looks at me, you can tell it's impressed into the ground quite deep. I'm just going to walk over here.
Look at the size of that track.
There's my whole weight on there. It doesn't compress it anywhere near as much. And I weigh 200 with my clothes on. I got to be about 210. With my pack and stuff, I got to be about 220. And that's got to be twice as deep.
It doesn't show up
Like your knife, right?
I see it.
Like my knife, we can measure that back later. But I'll tell you. 9.5.
Sandwich, tender seasoned chickens.
You could see the track with the naked eye, though?
Oh yeah, they're all over the place, and I've seen, literally, I mean, my personal opinion, dozens, if not 100.
Out on the island?
Why?
Oh, yeah.
Cast any of them?
Of all of them, I've only seen one I probably could have taken a cast in.
Yeah, that's usually the case. That sound, now you heard that sound? That's exactly what we had up at the films. The night we were out there with the Newells, and it just...
Like impressive stuff.
I wish I would have brought that tape.
Good work.
got a recording that was perfect, I think.
So you have a car battery whereby you recharge your camera batteries?
I got a small solar panel that trickle charges the car battery. Then I have an AC inverter which transfers DC to AC. Then I plug in my camcorder battery and I can recharge my camcorder battery. That's a system I had planned on working, and it hasn't worked for the last month until yesterday. Because the AC inverter broke on me. My buddy that you saw on tape just fixed it. So now it works.
Basically, what he's saying, you can convert
Tell
auto.
me about your experience of the other night, or John had relayed an experience where you were in your tent.
You want to know my first experience last year?
Yeah.
First of all, I came out here on holidays. I was a, steel worker. I came out here on holidays. I read John's book, and I just wanted to meet John, more or less. Videotape him.
Everybody wants.
Everybody wants to meet John. I'm sure he's met everybody. But anyways, I met him, and I was all excited, and there's a fella here in town that told me that he had an experience on the island, so why not go to the island, right? That's where it happened. Good place to start. My first day I get there, I'm all excited. I go romping through the bush. I got my camera in my hand, and there's just a print here. I'm talking to my camera and narrating as I'm going along, and I even got lost. I lost in the bush. Anyway, to make a long story short, I finally make it back to my camp. There's people there. They're weekend campers. We get along. We're semi-partying. We have hot toddies happening and everything. Turn into bed. Around 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm laying in bed. And not my usual camping mode because I've had a couple of drinks. I got some campers down just 100 feet away from me, so I'm kind of comfortable. I don't have all my stuff ready. Usually get your machete, your axe, and everything else, your bear spray, and your camera, and you're always ready. You have your pants on and everything. Well, this particular night, I just slept in my underwear. I was completely comfortable. I guess it was around 3 o'clock in the morning. Just bang, out of nowhere. It was it sounded like a locomotive going by. It was just a heavy stomping. What it was doing, it was stomping while panting. And it sounded like a big monster. It stamped 5 or 6 times, I can't remember now. Bang, 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 the whole ground shook. I tell people this and nobody actually gets it. My whole body actually came off the ground and landed again. Came off the ground and landed again when it drove its foot into the ground.
Now, is there any grizzly bear on that island?
Okay, continue.
Anyway, I was totally terrified, stricken with fear. I froze. And then it stopped. That went on for maybe... See how you were right, memory does fade when you try and recall the instance. Anywhere between 5 and 10 seconds it went on. I reached around fast, grabbed my grizzly bear mace, opened up my tent fly, and I ran through the bush, and I had my hand. Could have been this one or that one, I don't remember. One of my hands was waving in front of me because it was so dark. I couldn't see the trees. I was running with my underwear through the bush. So I wouldn't hit a tree. I'm running, I'm screaming for my life. This is Sasquatch, Jason, this is Sasquatch. Run down to the docks. And at the dock, there's a boat down there with the people I was partying with earlier in the night. They had 2 dogs, 2 or 3 kids. I think there was 3 kids and 2 adults on the boat. I went running down there, and I thought for sure everybody heard it. It was so loud, I thought it echoed through the entire valley. And I woke them up. They had no idea what was going on. They thought I was a screaming lunatic. And they wouldn't wake up and check out my story. So I'm standing there on the dock. They went back to sleep in my underwear. And I guess I sat out there for 45 minutes, just shaking, shivering. Midnight, in my underwear on the dock. I woke them up again. So can I borrow a flashlight? I want to go back. Mind you, I wasn't so calm as I am now. I was pretty much hysterical. Borrowed his flashlight and went back to my tent. I'm shining around, looking around. My tent was still open. My sleeping bag was hanging out. Grabbed my sleeping bag, get by the corner, and I ran back onto the dock, dragging it through all the leaves and pine needles and the dirt. I laid it out on the dock, and I climbed in the sleeping bag right next to the boat. And I laid there. And then, like I said, 45 minutes to an hour had passed since what had happened. And I heard it get into the water. It was maybe 30 to 50 feet away. But it came so slow. It was like stealthily moving so slow.
Waiting.
It was waiting. I guess it would be maybe the the water would be 5 to 6 feet deep. But it was going so slow where it wouldn't disturb the water. And the water was glass calm, not a ripple anywhere. But I could hear it because the water was so glass calm. It took a long time to get to me. A distance of 30 to 50 feet, it took 10 or 15 minutes to get to me. I could hear it coming closer and closer and closer. I was getting more and more scared, more and more scared. I'm thinking, is this really happening? Is this real? Was my mind playing tricks on me? I could actually feel its presence as it got closer and closer. And it came right under the dock, right beneath me, and I wouldn't look either way. I was staring up into the sky, and I heard it scratching at the dock boards right under my head. And then it went that way. The boat moved a bit. I don't know if it hit the boat or if someone was turning over in the boat. And then it made more noise as it walked away. I could definitely hear it walking away. I heard it get out of the water, and I heard it thump, thump, thump as it walked along the bridge on the way.
You didn't try to shine the light on it?
No, I didn't move a muscle. I didn't move a muscle.
And that was the end of the event.
And that was the end of the event.
You heard it enter the water, and you're sure that it scratched underneath your dock?
On my mother's life.
Have you had any supplementary events on this year's expedition?
The first or second night up there was a complete disaster. I had my bear mace in my pocket. I went for a hike in the bush, found all kinds of tracks and stuff, blah, blah, blah. And you can hear it walking around. When it comes to the bush, it's this great big creature, smash, 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 coming to the bush. Sometimes it doesn't want to make noise. Sometimes it makes noise on purpose. Like I'm actually getting to know it. But this particular night, it didn't care. It was walking around, smash, 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 and it ran towards the camp. You can see, you're waiting for it to come through the tree line at you, but it wouldn't break the tree line. And then I was getting scared. It's getting dark. So this was just as it was getting dark. So I was trying to light my lantern. I want light now. My lantern wouldn't work. I had car headlights taped into trees with the battery, and one of the lights burnt out. What else went wrong that night? My flashlight wasn't working. The mace exploded in my pocket. I ended up getting mace on my hand, a grizzly bear mace, and my face. My nose was running, my eyes were running. The Sasquatch was freaking out behind the bush, and it was getting darker and darker, and I was getting scared. I went down, I'm right on a beach, so I'm sitting with my back to the water now. And I kept putting my face in the water because it was nice and cold, trying to wash my face off, and it was burning hot, my leg was burning hot, and it stopped. I mean, I guess I was the show. It must have been sitting there just laughing at me. Since the original that was marching around in the bush. And then it saw me doing my little parade and circus act. It stopped. Since then, I've heard it walking around in the bush, but I can't be sure it was it. I hear something big walking around in the bush. I've seen lots of tracks. Pardon me?
All the same size?
No. I know there's for sure one on the island. Probably 3, maybe 4, 5, or 6. All the tracks I found. I can't be sure because the terrain, it's all moss and dirt and rock. And I'll look at a track and I'll say that's a track. And I'll get out and measure it and I'll find more like that. But if you get someone else and I say that's a track, they can look at it and say that's not a track. It's a matter of opinion.
Train that.
Yeah. So I look at it and I can recognize that when you look, they're everywhere. Everywhere. And sure, maybe I'm misidentifying lots of tracks, but not when they're consistently sized and they have like a 40-inch stride or whatever. You find, boom, there's one, there's another one.
This footage of today, was this today that we looked at?
That was last night.
Last night. You go away from your camp, and this thing's trudging around, crapping in your camp.
Well, that crap happened. I was out at camp for a week. It's so hard for me to get back and forth to my camp. I have to canoe. A 20-mile trip to go back and forth to camp, and I don't like doing that.
20 miles?
Yeah, and it's depending on the weather. If the weather's bad in the lake, I gotta wait out the weather. I gotta try and beg for a ride back to the motorboat or something. So I was out for 6 days, and while I was out, that's when something dropped again. I didn't even notice it. I was decorating the camp that particular day with the stuff, and I looked down and, whoa, there's a crap there from my camp. So I went up the video camera. And I found another crab just coincidentally that day. And I didn't get it on tape, but I don't know if I told you that crab. And John Miles looked at it and he said, "That's Sasquatch crap." I said before, it's definitely Sasquatch crap. That's his, I'll tell you the same thing.
Well, I hate to be part of it, but I'm going to bed.
Good night, Tom.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. Hope you see you soon. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Gonna hold up the other one for you,
Lord
Chuck.
knows we all need it.
Yeah.
Good job speaking tonight.
Thanks. See you in the morning, John.
And this here, Mike, is also what you're going to be scat.
That was in Scat. And,
This is it with hair in it. Notice the hair there, Chuck?
May 2-4 weekend, there was a bunch of, where I'm camped, it's a popular campsite. And campers come up almost every weekend, especially on the nice ones. Anyways, this particular weekend, there was two couples, and one of the couples had a kid. And we got very friendly and partying. And, they know I'm into Sasquatch hunting. I tell everybody, I don't care. We can make a big joke of it. I can make fun of it too. And anyway, their last morning there, I guess it was Sunday morning, we all wake up out of my tent, they're in their tents. And they said, "What are you doing? You walking around our camps, or our tents early in the morning?" They thought it was me. I said, "Well, explain to me what happened." And they said, "Well, somebody was walking around the tents." So immediately I look around, and sure enough, I find 2 tracks, 16.5 inches long, with a big handprint right behind their tent, which is another thing I left out. Beside my tent, that night last year, there was a great big clear 16.5 inch print in the moss. Toes, everything clear as day. And all the moss was laid down flat behind my tent. I figured it probably belly crawled or crawled up to my tent. Listen to me breathing. It was in there. Got up, positioned itself, and stamped up a big clear print for me next to my tent. And that's when I saw that. Like up to that point, I was enthused for looking for Sasquatch and being Sasquatch country, and getting a video. But at that point, I realized that was a real creature. I was a few feet, literally from here to that chair, away from the Sasquatch, separated by darkness in a tent.
What was the breathing like? I mean, what's the
I had
best
a
you
throat
can...
easily as big as this jar. Massive volumes of air going in and out. I looked through my top of my tent, and I expected to see this. I expected to see it. It was so dark I couldn't see anything, but it was just so huge. It was just huge. If you were to lay down beside an elephant and close your eyes, you could just feel the elephant's presence. No doubt. You know what I mean?
Did it seem to you like it was something that was sick? Like it had a chest cold or something like that?
No, it seemed to me like a sprinter who had just finished running a race, was breathing really, really, really heavy.
It sounded almost like the breathing of a Hollywood monster.
Yeah, exactly. That's like how it sounded.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It sounded like a big, big monster.
Mm-hmm. Any smell?
No smell at all.
None.
None whatsoever.
No smell. What about, you've never seen any red eyes or any eyes? And how about the feeling of being watched constantly?
That was really weird. Earlier that day, when I was out filming and stuff, I even got it on camera. I got the camera, I think something's over there. I'm looking around, I didn't hear anything or anything, but I never gave much credit to that feeling of being watched, that feeling. And I had that feeling, and then that night, that's what happened. And then another time I had that feeling when I was up in the bush. I had that feeling, I just got so scared, and I heard the thumps. You can hear the thumps in the walking. It sounds like the movie Jurassic Park. It's exactly how it sounds. Exactly. So I heard the thumps, and I was out of there. I was learning. Last year was a learning experience for me. I was in the bush looking for Sasquatch. Every time I got close, I ran.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I was scared.
Why not?
I'm trying to overcome that now, though.
You carry a weapon with you?
No.
No?
I would if I could, but I don't. I just have my bear mace, which exploded on me.
I find that very odd that everything electrical or battery powered or propellant went on you.
Looking back on it now, it was
bad luck.
Yeah, it was all my fault. I was poorly prepared.
And you were nervous.
And I was very nervous. I had my bear mace in my pocket, and it slipped lengthwise, so it went along the entire length of my pocket. And every time you straighten your leg, or your pant gets wrapped tight around your leg, of course it's got some pressure on the nozzle of with the bear mace.
Sure.
So that's what happened with the bear mace. As far as the headlights go, I just yanked them out of my car. They weren't brand new. The lantern was very, very old. I'd never had a problem with it before, but that night the seal on the O-ring seal went, and I couldn't maintain any pressure. So it's just
Compounded problem.
compounded bad luck problems. I don't attribute any of it to Sasquatches being able to.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to reach.
Yeah.
Does it seem interested in your food stuff?
Not at all. I've got. Sometimes, like right now, I got an orange. When I eat food, I do this all the time. This is something I don't tell you. Whenever I eat food when I'm by myself, I try to make it. It's a very dramatic event. This is good, whatever. And I walk around my camp, and I make a big. Every time I do something like that, it's a big dramatic. It's a big act. I'm always acting. Every time I do anything, it's a big act. And then I'll leave an orange out to see what happens. I don't leave it out as bait. I'll just forget it's there. You know what I'm saying? Because I think they're smart enough to know that what you're doing is a trap. But if I just leave an orange out, you might think I can take it. I know where everything is in my camp, absolutely everything. And if anything's missing or moved, I know it.
Are they just something getting them?
Nothing. I didn't think anything came into my camp ever until that one night when those campers told me someone was walking around, and the other day something took a crap in my camp.
Last night.
No, that particular incident didn't happen anywhere near my camp. That was 4 or 5 miles away.
Okay, but
No, not that far, 3 or 4 miles away.
defecation was last night.
Defecation was Wednesday.
Okay.
Wednesday. It was Wednesday when I found it, and I got back on Sunday, so I could have been sitting there for a few days. I might have even been there. It looked fairly fresh, so I'm not an expert on how old crap is once it's there.
Certainly, it looked very
It looked
fresh.
fairly fresh.
How long have you been out there, since May? Or how long?
May 8th was my
May
first day.
8th. Okay, so just over a month you've been out there.
Yeah.
And just a few anomalous events. But did you feel it begin to accept you that a dramatic display that it put on last year was an effort to drive you out, which it nearly did, or did it? But this year, I'm saying, it's almost accepting your presence and knows your odor.
No.
No?
I have a theory. My theory is that the one that came down and scared me out of, because I left the next morning after that whole incident.
Okay.
I left.
Okay.
It took me a couple days to come into town, and I tried to get people to come back out there with me. Nobody wanted anything to do with it. So I got a couple days of courage, and I went back out there for the holidays. But my opinion now, after what I've learned, I think the creature that came down, the particular individual, is a mother. I think, because I haven't really been back to that area, the south end of the island. I'm saving that for particular. I don't want to go in there and ruin my planned experiments. It has to be very well thought out. I'm doing the other end of the island, but when I went into the south end of the islands, which is where I think they spend most of their time, I invaded their space. And I think this mother has a very young one with an 8-inch track. I've seen lots of 8-inch tracks. So I think being a protective mother, invading their space, whatever, being by myself, she felt comfortable enough to come down and intimidate me. That's just my theory. I don't know anything about how other things behave in other situations, but it's just what I feel after learning what I've learned.
But, okay, so that's why you haven't ventured into its quote-unquote lair that you think is the end of the island.
I've got different things planned I intend on doing when I get down there. But every time I go into that end of the... I'm a little scared to go down there by myself. So when I go down there, it has to be well thought out, well planned. I don't want to screw it up at all. I've been there, I plan on 3.5 months. I'm learning, by looking at these different tracks, I'm learning what's going on. And I'm learning who, before I thought there was only one individual. I'm learning there might be 5 or 6.
Population. May I ask you this? When you felt you were being watched, was it an eerie silence?
That's always eerie silence. The birds aren't chirping or nothing, but sometimes that happens. And sometimes you notice the birds aren't chirping, but you don't get that eerie feeling. It's just a weird feeling. You get scared all of a sudden for no reason. You're walking through the bush, nothing's bothering you, but all of a sudden you're scared. You're really scared. You feel like you're in danger. That's the best way to describe it.
What are you hoping to accomplish? What's your ultimate goal?
Ultimate goal, if I had a gun, I'd shoot one. And I don't.
All the time is that, I mean, the talk, the speculation, and everybody agrees, I think, as a opposing brute society, I think somebody's got to land one, take it down.
Yeah.
And I think John will agree, and you've told this Chuck, that if you do take one down, you got to take apart the body immediately or to prove it, because when you go back,
I've thought it all out a billion
when
times in
if
my
you
brain.
leave the body,
Yeah,
I would bet everything I own that you would not find anymore.
My first impression, last when I came out here was, you know, I was one on the other side where you can't shoot a Sasquatch. That's horrible to do. You know, ooh, I was on that side. And I started listening to what John was saying. You know, it's the only way. It's the only way. And I started thinking, if I want to do this, if I want to do it right, that is the only way. It doesn't matter how good my film is. I can get close-ups, this, that, and everything else. It'll never be 100%.
I'd never believe it.
Personally,
Right.
I don't know if there's a weapon, a legal weapon. It doesn't belong to the U.S. military that you can use to take one down. You can hit it, but I'm under the assumption that the adrenaline in our body, I've seen some human beings firsthand do some amazing things. A little girl hit her head on the pavement while skiing off in a tow truck from me as a boy. She ran down, but I thought she was dead. She ran down and died in her mother's arms about 100 yards down the road, but the skull caved in. She's dead. And I've seen a chicken with its head cut off. Chuck can attest to deer that he shot that's running around, doesn't know it's dead. So when I hear these stories of Sasquatch being shot, I hear these people say, oh, the muscle's so thick, the ribs, I'll give you that, but still, flesh is flesh, tissue is tissue, no matter how thick it is. And a bullet, when it enters, especially an armor-piercing bullet, I think these things, when they're hit, they know where to go, where to die. It's just that the forest is so impenetrable where it lives in its habitat that it's almost impossible to locate a carcass.
Well, that's a theory, but I don't share it. Anything can be killed. If it's alive, it can be killed. And if you plan it right, it's like a hunt. It's not a regular hunt. You can't hunt it like a deer. You hunt it like a person. A smart person. A person who knows what they're doing in the wilderness. Not that I'm not saying that they're people, but I'm saying as smart as we are out in the city, that's as smart as they are in the bush. So you have to respect that. That's my opinion.
You're in their element.
Yeah.
You're in their backyard.
And you gotta, you know, it's like no matter how tough Mike Tyson is, there's somebody tougher.
Yeah.
So you gotta be tougher.
You've orienteered the island. How well acquainted are you with your end of the island?
Line of the island, I can get around no problem. Yeah.
Where's your line of demarcation, the line in the sand, so to speak, where you will not cross it denotes the southern part of the island? I mean, is there a point where you said, this is the end of my tether, I'm going no further? Have you felt it that I shouldn't go any farther here?
I really haven't drawn any line in them.
I'm just saying,
but yeah, I haven't gone past
a tree line, there's boulder cover, whatever.
Well, I don't like going down certain part of it.
Have you found any piles of rocks or anything like that, or you haven't?
Yeah.
How are they shaped? Are they
No, that's a different story.
Lenticular,
I find not big piles. Like, these are rocks that anybody can do, like marking trails, 1, 2, 3, 4, one of them, you know, 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the top. I find that, and what I do, I just kick the top one off whenever I see that, just to see what happens. And so far, nothing's happened. But then again, I've only been out there 28 days, 29 days.
You found these strange scraping on trees?
Just yesterday, last night, that's when I was out there and you showed me. This is something I wanted to tell you. But the 14-inch, I didn't have a chance. But the one tree we found, there were lateral lines across it. Like something was scraping the bark off. There were lateral lines, and John and I were looking at that. What could cause that? We thought maybe it was whacking a tree against, a branch against the bark. But it took a knife and cut across. And we were watching it and thought, well, I mean, not watching it, but they were all over the place, even up 10, 12 feet high, things that we couldn't reach. And then John put his fingernail, I don't have any fingernails, put his fingernail and dragged his fingernail across. And it made the exact same mark, except on a scale, like 1/10 the size. So what we concluded was, it was cleaning its fingernails. It put its fingernails in the bark and dragged it across 50, 60, 70 times, as well as dragging them down. I can show you that anytime you want to see it.
Have you ever heard wood on wood?
No.
Rocks.
No.
Any other anomalous scream? That's fantastic.
That was the first time I've ever encountered anything like that.
Okay, never heard that scream before.
And I have to give total credit to John Miles, because that was his spot. He took me there, and he said he'd done that before, and I didn't believe him. And he did the call. I was more interested in this fence I was looking at, this old fence. He did the call. I wasn't listening. I didn't even have the camera on. All of a sudden, we heard the noise from under the bush. So I got my camera ready and couldn't get it going fast enough. I was hoping, like, oh my God, I knew I only had maybe 2 or 3 minutes left to tape. I wasn't prepared to be out there because I was away from my camp, visiting him at his camp, and I was on my way back to Harrison. But he said, let's just go, I'll show you the spot. So I took my stuff with me, and here I am, finally out in the field, getting my one moment. And I'm like, like Roger Patterson, not enough film, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Isn't that all I'm sure? How close is that?
Well, I learned a good lesson that time. I got done in 2 months. Always be prepared, no matter what. Always be prepared.
How close do you think you were to the
Less than
southern
100
end of
yards.
the island?
Oh, pardon me?
How close do you think you were to the southern end of the island, the spot where it took
Oh,
you?
there was, I don't want to give that spot away,
Okay,
because I was asked not
I'm
to.
not even interested, I'm just saying.
But very far.
So you weren't at this?
No, not at all. Very, very far. So it might be blowing my particular theory all to hell. But I don't think so. Like I said, I think there's definitely more than one individual. I shouldn't say that. One individual for sure. Probably 3. Youngster, 2 parents. And I think there might be 2 adolescents as well. I'm finding these really, really big tracks, and I don't know if the tracks or not because they're so but huge, 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 huge tracks. 22 inches, and I think that's just too big to be a track. But I found them a few times. So I'm keeping my eye on my heel.
You can't say, though, that it's too big to be a track.
Well,
if it's...
But
this isn't material where tracks show particularly.
You can't take it too seriously.
You gotta... It's a depression, but...
But it's not pronounced such that you can see this.
How the tracks have been working is, we have been finding them. The young track, the 8-inch track, shows up a lot more because it doesn't know where to walk as much. And the 16.5-inch track is often around the 8-inch track because it's whatever taking care of it. This is what I'm coming up with. I could be completely wrong.
No, as if it's cloaking. The young one hasn't learned to cloak its footprints to cover
the other tracks. Yeah, and the other tracks, the 11-inch and the 14-inch, they've been shown up a couple times, but not so often. And it's the 22-inch track I've only seen a few times. Very rarely, and you only ever find one. You never find another one that goes with it, so it might not be a track at all. But I've found them a few times, and they're just immense.
22 inches.
Yeah, immense. You if you ever get a chance to fit, don't have a ruler on it, but 22 inches and look at it and imagine. It's immense.
Wow. And that would...
Ever seen one that 22 inches?
It would obviously have to be... You have to equate something that size to the creature that you had encountered in 1996 in order to make the ground shake where you actually felt your body.
Yeah, well, the creature that came to visit me was a 16.5-inch one. Because I measured it and I could see the toes. I could make it all out perfect. Because I was out there, daybreak. As soon as the sun was coming up, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever time it was. As soon as I can see, I was there looking for tracks. Wow, there it was. By the time the people in the boat got up, which was 9 or 10 o'clock, the moss was lifting. I got my video camera out, and of course I showed John that you couldn't see a thing. Because it just doesn't show up on video.
You got a still camera?
No.
You should. Still cameras take
I
a
don't
lot
want to
better
hear
pictures
shit
than
anymore.
video.
I should have a lot of things.
Nothing will show tracking moss.
The bottom line is I'm out there and
Like
I don't
a thing
have
that's
money.
naturally
I can't afford the camera.
camouflaged.
My camera's broken. So I'm just...
I'm saying if you can
No, but I
see
still
toes, well, if you have a good flash on your camera, it's going to enhance
I don't
that toes.
have a good camera. I don't have one. All I have is a video camera. If my video camera goes, my expedition's over. I can't afford it.
How are you doing financially right now? Are you getting by?
No.
How are you doing for food?
I'll cross that road when it comes. I just ran out. I'm down to my last box of Grafton. I have a few potatoes. I started this little publicity campaign last week, put my ads in the paper, like fundraising, guns out, hoping people will give me some money. I don't want money in your pocket.
I got it, man. All I ask out of you is a call in a couple of months. Trust me.
That's not the point I'm trying to make is just
It'll get you by. It'll get you something. Don't just take it one. It's for the story, trust me. I get me the moves.
What was set up here? Jeez, I gotta
Just take it. Trust me.
I'm not going to turn it down. That wasn't.
Don't turn it down. It's got nothing to do with pride, but I think your research for the sake of the community and why we're here and for doing this work to fund a researcher. If I had 100, I'd have 100. If I had $1,000, I'd throw $1,000 in your lap right now because what you're doing right now, you're on the cutting edge of the research. So don't worry about it. Just go on, man. That's all.
Those sounds that you heard on the TV, this year I have on tape recording, you're just standing out at an area right out of the woods. Almost same exact sound. I mean,
Just promise someday.
and I had some guys listening to it.
Someday.
That's an owl.
That's
That's
back
a...
of this brochure where I am. If you guys ever want to see me.
We're flying out tomorrow night or Monday.
Monday night.
I'll get to you.
Where are you spending the night tomorrow?
I don't even know. Don is just out right now. I mean,
Probably a hotel or after the conference we may head towards, I'm not sure. We haven't crossed that bridge.
Well, you know,
Certainly don't want to oppose it.
Mike wanted to get into the conference.
Thank you very much.
You want to go to the
Any way to
conference?
get back.
Well, if you guys aren't coming back, I'm not going to bother you. You know, that's like an hour and a half out of your way drive, so. It just doesn't. The only reason I wanted to go to the conference was
Don't matter to
people I
me.
wanted to meet.
Yeah.
And I was hoping I could hand out my pamphlets. Maybe someone would.
Grants was there today. I don't think he'll be back tomorrow. He in May. But there's other guys. There's a John Bindernagel.
He's got my story.
he knows John.
John's who's very interested right now.
Bindernagel, you should see him going crazy over Ohio. He wants to come to Ohio.
We can get you there. We may come back here tomorrow. Are you
I
staying over
understand,
there?
I understand, but-
Put it this way. Let's talk about tomorrow, okay?
Okay, just wait till Don
We're
Ross
like
is downstairs
We're
and he
throwing
is
ourselves to the
up.
wind.
You can go down there.
Were you talking to Tom Steenberg at all?
I talked
Yeah.
to Tom. I was very
I
impressed.
just
with him.
wondered if he indicated when he was coming back.
I think
I didn't hear him.
Tuesday. I'm not sure, but I didn't even know that he was talking
long
about
as it
that.
takes you to
Long
Canoe.
Well, like you left a note.
5 hours.
Came in here on his way down.
5 hours
going
one
home,
way.
and he indicated he was coming back on his way back.
I wonder
But I
how
don't
long
know
it
when.
would take for one of those to swim over.
Not long. Fell on that tape plane he saw too. It was one time and he had a little motorboat with a 2-horse motor on the back of his
When
plane.
anyone else is
And they're out, so we couldn't catch up with them. Anything else around them?
J. Richard Greenwell
I heard that.
is ISC, International Society of Cryptozoology.
Were you talking to Jim Buchanan at all?
I didn't get a chance to speak to Jim, no.
He is there, though.
I'm not sure because I
I'm thinking of the
was
name.
mentioned.
There's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
His name was mentioned.
Can I interject something here? I'm sorry. While I was away, the fellow at the fruit stand, Ron, told me that there was a guy in town last Sunday. I missed him by half an hour when I went back out to the bush. He was looking for you, he was coming to visit you. He was doing expeditions all over the world. He's a rich guy, whatever. And he was coming over to visit you. Is there such a person? Peter Byrne. That's what I thought. Like,
No, Peter Byrne is not rich.
He said this guy like reaped the money, and he was right into the expedition thing, and he said he was expeditions all over the world, and he was coming over to see you. This was this conversation passing as he was buying fruit at the fruit stand. And I
Knew that would be-
no,
How long ago was it?
last Sunday.
BBC's down
A
there.
week ago? Or
1 week.
There was a guy who came to see me last week, but I don't think it would be him. So I don't think he had any problem finding me.
No, this fellow apparently didn't have any problem finding you. It wasn't that he had any problem finding you or nothing. It's just that the guy at the fruit stand said he was on his way to see you. That's all. I was wondering who that was.
Thought it was me. I got no.
There was nobody important.
Well,
It
the fellow
was
that
him.
did come, I didn't
If it was
really
nobody
believe it
important.
was Rich, but he did say that he went all over the world.
Maybe that's the same person.
Could have been the same guy.
Did you mention to him that I was out there?
Probably.
What island do you want it in?
I'm just curious, what kind of people are going to come up with this.
I don't remember, but I presume I did, but I don't recall
That will do. When we go back to the conference tomorrow, if we'll decide whatever.
You know what?
I know that Sunday is the attendance was horrible. So I say virtually 90% of the audience, Mark counted 84 people. I said there's less, were researchers, speakers.
The public isn't coming.
No, it's not. The public
It's
never
the same
comes.
here, the public isn't coming.
The public never comes. It's the people that are interested, like are researchers. And what the field does is it picks up researchers.
There were some
But
public,
they're
but
dumpers, and they just start from the bottom, learning from the baby of the abominable snowman story of Edmund Hillary to the beginnings of the Patterson Gimlin. And then they find out about John, and they find out about the Kingdom. But there are a lot of people there that their palate's wet to see this creature. And Don spoke at the conference tonight, and Don's spot in Ohio, in America, I think, in the United States, is the hot spot right now. I'm saying North America.
I think it's just that we got an area down where, I mean, it's pretty much a science. I mean, John, you can go out there.
We'll get back to that in a second.
Stuff's happen.
We'll
Just
get
like
back to
he
that in a
with the
second.
sounds. You go out there and just be quiet and all. It's like that. It's just like
I'll
you
talk to
heard
you
on
later.
TV. They were not. But
You all set? All right. But what we can do is, I want to help you. There are people there that would be interested, that would be fascinated by this, and it's the researchers. Now, when we get back to the conference, if we don't return here, how can I get a hold of you, and where do we send
Here's
you?
the best thing to do, okay?
Well, Mike, I think if you go down there tomorrow, it's almost certain you'll be able to pick up a ride with somebody.
Well, John, what I've learned since I started
Anyway,
this.
now you've got $40, you could buy a bus ticket if you had to.
Yeah, I have money now. I'm gonna come back.
But,
I think what John says is that, because
a lot of
John,
people there to be somebody.
and John being the preeminent.
That was my big thing for coming out this weekend. Like, I don't like leaving my camp on the weekends because that's when the campers are there. It's like having people walking through your house when you're not around.
Yeah.
But I had to get to that conference, and if I'm going to maintain my existence out there, I got to get to that conference, meet people, shake hands.
Yeah.
And I just, I come into town and I didn't have enough money for the bus fare out there.
how much does it cost for bus fare?
I'm down to where I don't even have $10 for bus fare. I'm making $600 a week at a job.
With the other problem that we're dealing with right now is it took Mark probably a half hour to close the trunk because we're overpacked with our trunk. And we'd be carrying items with us in the back seat. If we did,
Small vehicle.
yeah. Hold on. If we were to have a call to arms of researchers, if I could go there tomorrow, because I don't know who's going to be there. It was a disappointing turnout.
What are you
They had
trying to
some
do
very
for
poor
him? I mean, that's
speakers. I don't think, because if we leave here tomorrow, unless we stay back here and we leave our gear here,